I have one like high level visual here because I first want to introduce to you how this whole thing actually works, because it's a very complex, very autonomous workflow built end to end in Vellum. And so when it comes to SEO, how we're usually approaching this is we want to pick a keyword that has enough opportunity for us to rank for on the first page on Google. And so usually SEO keyword researchers or SEO professionals, what they will do is they will analyze the top results of a given keyword that they would like to target. And then given those learnings, then they will curate the outline, then they will write the first draft, then they will compare the first draft with what's currently ranking for that keyword. So it's a bit of a loop thing where you can basically write down based on learnings and then you check again. And then someone would, again, review your content, and then you would publish. And so what you see here are the stages or the sub-agents that we have in the whole workflow. We start with a keyword. This is the input that it's going to go into the workflow. Then we have the first SEO analyst that will scrape all of this content from all of the pages that are ranking for that keyword. It will analyze the results. It will extract the intent. It will extract the voice to understand, like, who are we talking to here? Like, is this content meant for developers? Are marketers reading this content? So just like analyzing that brand's voice. Then the researcher basically takes whatever the SEO analyst pulls and identifies what are the missing parameters. What is the content that we need to write in order to rank for this keyword, and not only rank, but outrank what we analyzed here, right? Because like writing good content is always about filling in for those missing parameters that other articles are not talking about. That can be different things. It can be like, you can add more examples on how, like, for example, if you're writing about LLMs today, you can write more about like different models, how they're being used, like what is the expertise that you can put into these articles to make them rank better. And when it comes to AI, the biggest challenge and misconception is that nowadays, like a lot of content writers are using AI just off the bat to just write generic content. What this whole workflow proves is that we can systematically scrape the data that we need to write actually relevant articles. And then we can also search our vector database to augment that content and make even more relevant articles using AI in this autonomous way. And so after the researcher does its job, then it's like all of the learnings from here are passed to this sub-agent, which we call the writer. It writes the first draft, then it goes into this loop between the writer and the editor. The editor will pass the feedback, the writer will write the second draft, and we're using LLMs as a judge here, so there's no human in the loop here. It can be, like, maybe version 2 of this, it can bring me or Nico or someone else to review this content, add some new parameters or insights, then the editor can pass that as feedback. And then, you know, like the evaluation metrics that we're using here are pretty basic. It's just like, if you score 3 out of 4 on this scale, then pass this article as ready to be published. Or in some cases, because like this loop can go on forever, we can say like, if this loop ran for more than 5 times, just you know, close the loop, give me the output, let me review it. A human needs to review this. So this is the high level, and now I'm going to show you how it currently looks in Vellum. Okay, so what I'm showing you here, these are all of the agents that we just saw on that graph. So we have the scraper, we have the editor, the writer, the researcher, and the analyst. And this is the main workflow that basically works with all of this as sub workflows. And so if we open that workflow, and if you have any questions, Rob, feel free to stop me, because I can talk forever about this.
Keep going.
Keep going. Okay, cool. So the first, I'm just gonna give you some overview of all of these nodes, and then we're gonna run it, and we're gonna see how it actually performs in real time. So the first one is the SEO analyst. So if we expand this, we can actually see that it's another workflow that I showed you before. And in this workflow, we have a scraper, some data transformation node that cleans my link so I can scrape it better. Then I'm basically extracting that article. I'm extracting the intent from it. I'm extracting some of the bad sections, and I'm using, again, LLMs to tell me which sections are actually bad for this search. I'm extracting the good ones, like tell me what is actually ranking pretty well for this keyword. And then basically at the end of this keyword, I'm taking out all of those parameters that are being extracted from this workflow. And that's the whole thing that this first step does. Extracts the data, extracts the top 5 results, give me back those results. And I think like for simplicity, what I have here, it's only the first result, not all 5 of them, but you can understand where I'm going with this. And so I have optimization router here, which I don't know what it does. Let me just check. Okay, so this one, what it says is, if there are no bad sections, then go directly into writer mode. Just go and write it. If there are some bad sections, go into the researcher and have it pull new content for the sections that are missing. So let's say in this workflow, we're basically trying to write a really good article on React prompting. And so let's say that the second guy here, this guy here, it tells us that, you know, there are actually bad sections. The bad sections are that all of these articles that are ranking for this keyword, they don't actually show any examples on how to do this prompting technique. And so the researcher, what this will do is, it will create a keyword for those bad sections. It will then again search the internet with those new keywords, extract some newfound data for the previous keyword.
Nice.
So you have a loop. You have agents that are doing your work for you.
Yeah.
And so once this guy is done, you can see like we have new extracted data here. It passes all of those values into this mega step here. I'm calling this mega step because the writer does a lot of things and it needs a lot of information. So we're passing down the keywords, the good sections, the intent, the audience, the feedback. After it gets passed from the editor, in the first instance, we're just passing some placeholder data. Like there's no feedback now, this is your first draft. Some original content. I think this one and like this last two, they're actually gonna be passing down the memory from the previous iterations with the editor. So not only that we want to get feedback from the editor, we also want to retain the previous conversation between them. Did I actually did better than what was suggested to me before by the editor? And so that's what the writer does. Then we go into the editor, it analyzes, it gives back the feedback. The reviewer basically says, okay, well, if the score is excellent, then pass it ready to be shipped. If it executes, I added here like 2 times, more than 2 times, just stop the loop just for the sake of this demo. And so let's see. Oh, let me just show you these 2 things here, but this one passes the feedback and this one passes the previous conversation between the editor and the writer. So you have memory embedded into this whole thing. So you have everything. You have searching the internet, multi-agent architecture. We have memory. We can also add like a vector database. I currently don't have it here, but I can also add it once we have like a very big block on our website. You can search for information from there. You can imagine like for SEO articles, you usually want to link all of your articles on your domain. So you can search your vector database, find other articles, then have the LLM to link to those previous articles to increase the validity of the article. But that's that. Let's run this. Let's hope that we don't get into any errors and see how it works. Okay, so this first thing here, it should output the content.
What's the keyword that you're searching on for this?
Yeah, so this one is React prompting.
Okay.
This is a type of prompting technique that I've added in the past. I didn't even change it for this demo, but you know, that's that. And Rob, what is really interesting is that we can clone this workflow into your workspace if you want to play with it. Okay, so now here we got like the whole content from that first ranking article. This guy here told us that there are some bad sections. So now the researcher is doing its work. It's gonna search with new keywords for new data. Okay, once that is done, we go into the writer and the writer is writing the first draft. And I think it's writing really fast because I'm probably using like a faster but dumber model. I don't know. Actually, need to go into the workflow to check that. Or maybe I'm using like Llama. That one is like really fast. Okay, so it's writing, you see like at the end, like it's referencing all of the links that I actually worked with. Then it goes into the editor. Editor says good. So it's not excellent. Now the feedback gets passed here. If we go into the inputs here, we can see that we have the editor feedback here. We have all of the other things, and we have 4 previous messages. We have the first draft, and I'm gonna scroll here because this is huge, but like we have the whole conversation here. And so now the writer knows that it didn't do really well on the previous thing. So now it has all the context it needs, and now it's trying to do a better job at it. And just like Rob, maybe I mean, I know that you're totally aware of this, but just like using LLMs to evaluate content is such a hard thing. Because like scoring is very tough with LLMs. Evaluating content is just like generally hard because it's so different for.
Did you try any like few shot learning with this, Anita, of like good, bad, excellent articles for the scoring?
I don't know. I don't think I did. But that's a great idea. Maybe I should try it out. And so I don't know. We'll see what the feedback here is gonna be. But if it's again good, it will break this loop and it will output the last article that we have from this workflow. Excellent. But that's that. It's like the whole process of SEO keyword research to writing an article and evaluating whether it will actually rank well for a specific keyword. It's done within 2 minutes here.
And then
let's see what we got.
The other thing to highlight with this is you also have a nice little scrubber at the bottom. So you can go back through and see the change made through each iteration through that little scrubber.
Yeah. You see, like even the style, it's not like very ChatGPT-like, maybe. I don't know. The thing is, like when you're evaluating these things, you can add so many different parameters and you can test it. You can use evaluations to test like the style, the sentiment, like all of those things. It's much harder to do it with content, but you can still do it.